name is Rosa Maria Lamuela Raventós. I am professor at University of Barcelona and Institute of Nutrition and Food Safety, and I work in research related with food science to know which bioactive of which antioxidants are present in food. I also work in nutrition to see which foods can be more beneficial for health. And finally, we also do some research related more with like gastronomy, no? To see how cooking may affect bioactive compounds and finally to health. Olive oil, virgin olive oil, I would like to emphasize about that, virgin olive oil, especially extra virgin olive oil. We have, and there are several papers that have demonstrated that it's very healthy, especially related to cardiovascular disease or cardiovascular events, also diabetes. And nowadays there are papers that are related into cognitive performance. However, there is some controversy about olive oil for cooking, because there is I could say false interpretation that virgin olive oil is not good for cooking. However, we believe that it's an olive oil very rich in antioxidants, is really very good for cooking, no? So because antioxidants are compounds that protect the oil from oxidation. So when you add something or when you heat it, there are natural compounds present in the virgin olive oil that protect it against the degradation of the oil. I think that olive oil it comes from a tree. That the good thing it is very resistant to extreme conditions, no? To very hot weather, to low irrigation. So it's a tree that doesn't need too much water, can resist dry conditions, and without much, they don't need too much. It's a tree that doesn't need too much. You cannot cook with adding any fat or something in some dishes. So if we compare to other fats, it's much more sustainable than other fats. If we use animal fats, the animal fats by themselves are coming from animals that are less sustainable. And if we talk about other vegetables, oils, olive oil is much more sustainable because it's really coming from a fruit and that doesn't need organic solvents to process it. It's really the good thing of the olive oil is like a fruit juice. It's a very natural product. So it doesn't need almost any treatment for only cleaning, like separation, but it's really a very natural process. We should try to help olive oil growers that they can develop their oil and that the olive oil is more recognized in all the world, no? Because what happens is that usually the problem with olive oil is usually that it's expensive, but because it's naturally coming from a fruit and you have not like high yield in the case of olive oil. So I think the most important thing to be conscious what we are having, that is a real natural product and that it's a very healthy product. So if we choose this oil versus to other oils, we will help to the growers to be more interested in using or in planting this olive oil tree. It is true that when you heat when any oil is exposed to light or to oxygen, it degrades, it oxidizes, no? However, what the good thing of olive oil is that is very rich in polyphenols that are very rich antioxidants. It also has vitamin E, and it's very rich in a fat that is oleic acid, that is a monounsaturated fatty acid. And it is not so easily oxidized as other fats that are polyunsaturated. So it is true that any heat to the oil, it degrades the oil. However, we have done studies that we have seen that there is some degradation. However, if the oil is very rich in phenols, in polyphenols, they are maintained. There is a decrease, of course, but they are maintained. However, it's important that you don't use very high temperatures when you cook, because when you use very high temperatures, you finally degrade everything, and that you don't use the oil many times, no? That you change the oil when you cook every time. I think we should really differentiate between virgin olive oil and olive oil. Olive oil has part of their ingredients are refined olive oils. This is like a refination. You have to use like a very physicochemical or very extreme conditions that are aggressive for the environment. So it's very important to differentiate between both oils, because sometimes people, when they see olive oil, they think that everything is the same. It's very important to differentiate between virgin olive oil, that is really the one coming from the fruit, and it's like a fruit juice, that the other that is a mixture of virgin olive oil, but most part of it is refined olive oil. I would like to mention that, for example, what we have done studies is using olive oil, cooking it with other vegetables. And what we have seen is that the olive oil does a synergies with the other vegetables. So increase the benefits of the vegetables. There is like an interchange of compounds from the olive oil to the vegetables, and from the vegetables to the olive oil. And then these possible compounds of the carotenoids, for example, that are present in tomato, what you observe is that when you add olive oil, it increases its time in the body. So if you cook with olive oil, or if you are using olive oil for dressing, you will increase the benefits of this salad or of these vegetables. And I think this is a very important point. And it increases the anti-inflammatory properties, is what we have observed, of this tomato. So it's very interesting, this mixture, and we have observed this with a sauce that its name is sofrito, that is very typical Spanish sauce, that you add tomato, virgin olive oil, and onions, and sometimes garlic. And when you mix all these components, you observe this synergistic effect. It increases the antioxidant capacity.